So as always, in addition to our feed on Zoom, we're also live on Instagram. So we'll just take a minute to notify people and for them to jump on. But today's 12 days of yoga is day number 9, and we are focusing today on back bends. And I know, as I mentioned yesterday, whenever I say back bends, people get a little bit nervous, a little bit worried, concerned, and don't be, because this is a progression to help you build your back bending practice. And our progression of these 12 days has been preparing us to get ready for more opening in our back body. Given this time of year, we have a lot happening, a lot going on in our lives, and we sometimes can feel maybe a little closed off, perhaps turning a little more inward. And back bending for me is also heart opening. So we're opening the chest while we're building our back body strength. When we have strength in our spine, we stand with much more strength in our heart. So that's our focus for today. Nice to see everyone popping on. And we're going to start today in just a comfortable seated cross-legged position. So go ahead and find your seat. I'm going to step back here just a little bit further. Move my foam roller. That's a great way to stretch your back, is to roll your spine often, keeping the joints between the vertebrae mobile. So what can happen over time is we sit at computers, we sit in chairs, we sit on couches, and we turn inward, and our front body shortens. So everything today will be a focus on gaining some lift and strength and length. And so actively hold onto the knees and sort of pull your chest forward and your chin slightly up. Now, what we want to avoid when we're back bending is sometimes, because our neck is very mobile, we will just sort of compensate by looking up. And you can hear what happens in my voice when I do that. We want to keep the throat open, forward, and then exhale, sit back on your tail, draw your chin into your chest. Now, though we're bending back, we want to have mobility front and back. So close your eyes and take 3 or 4 more, just rippling breaths forward and rippling breaths back. Now, while you're shifting your spine front to back with your eyes closed, really saying and repeating in your mind, my spine is supple, I move like water. My spine is supple, I move like water. And come back to sitting tall. You can switch the cross of your legs if you'd like. Take your hands to your heart center. Setting your intention, perhaps personal or dedication or wish to the universe on this day 9 of 12 days. And perhaps bringing forth that heart-opening picture in your mind. What brings forth that idea of being more accepting of yourself and in turn accepting of others. Bow your head to your hands. Take a full breath in. Release fully. Catch the knees again. And we'll start at the top. So with the head, we'll pull the chin down towards the chest and really slowly roll the chin up towards the sky in a circular fashion. So go up and around. You can go clockwise or counterclockwise to start. We're going to go both ways. But take some steady breath of Ujjayi. And just finding your edge of rotation. So try not to force any extension here past what you're feeling your mobility is at today. And that can be different daily. So just check in. We'll roll the other way. Chin circles the opposite way. Any little kinks or edges you feel along the way, try not to force, just feel your way around. So though we will be back bending as our focus, the suppleness of all the joints in our spine is so key here. Gonna do one more. And as you land the chin back to neutral, you can lean your heart forward, and this time rock your body side to side forward. I'm sort of going knee to knee. We're extending our lower back and shifting our ribs side to side. And then we'll take a big circle all the way back and around and forward. And you can do this with your eyes open or closed. Notice your tendency, if your eyes are open, sort of jet the chin forward. Remember to keep the chin slightly in through that transition, really focusing on the mid-body. As you come forward again, you'll reverse. So slide and glide the ribcage over, and then around you go. Again, eyes can be open or closed. You're rolling the heads of the arm bones back as your chest comes forward, and then letting the heads of the arm bones just roll around in the shoulder socket, just bringing some fluid into all the joints. All right, one more round. And as we come back up to center, bring the legs around in front, give them a little tap out, and we'll come onto all fours. So you can sweep the legs around behind. If you have sensitive knees, a blanket on your mat can be really helpful, or a towel. Stacking your joints for cat-cow here. Toes can point or tuck. Lift your tail, draw your shoulders back, and then just look over the edge of your mat rather than looking up to the ceiling, because again, that kinks the neck and can be really challenging for it. And then push the ground away and hollow out your front body and your chin into your chest. Really push into the ground like a morning stretch where you kind of shake at the very end and then pull forward and then round it out. My spine is like water. I move with fluid energy. My spine is like water. I move with fluid energy. Do one more here. And as you return to your tabletop with a long spine, hips onto heels, this time tuck the toes under. Stretch your arms further forward in front of you. And here's where it's going to get a little bit tricky. So just do what you can, but we're going to slide low and forward. So keeping the chest as close to the floor as we can. Elbows can bend out to the sides, and we're slithering between the thumbs. The chin and the chest will tap the mat first, and then we'll let the hips come down and the heart come up. A bit of a back bend there in your low back as you release back down to cobra. Tuck the toes. Push the front of the mat away so you stay low like an animal crawling underneath a fence, and then come back up. Pull your hips back as you breathe in. And as you exhale, slither through. Let the chin and the chest land. If it's a lot, keep your nose down because the neck can be sensitive here too. Point the toes, hips come down, heart comes up, cobra. Release down. One more, and this can be hard on the arms, so just take your time. Hips back, slither straight back, and up onto hands and knees. One more, and this time we're going to stay on the floor. As you pull your hips back, you look forward with your eyes, and then slide your chest between your thumbs, and then release your hips, point your toes, lift your heart. Releasing down. Now a little work for our back body here. With the hands down, bring your forearms right down onto the mat. So a simple cobra. Pull the heads of the arm bones out of your ears, press down through all 10 toes, and lift your heart up. Releasing forward, keep pulling to lengthen your heart off the edge of your mat. Then inhale to lift up. And exhale to pull forward and down. It's like you're naturally tractioning your spine. 2 more. It's almost like you're inchworming your way off the edge of your mat. 1 more. Good. Then slide the hands back and place the backs of the hands on the floor. So your thumbs are in towards your thighs to start. Now bring your big toes to touch. So your inner thighs walk together. Press down through the toenails, the knees lift, and just float your heart. Always feel a little bit like a seal here with no hands. So with the heart lifted just enough off the floor, pull your chin back. Turn your palms or your fingertips down into the floor and bend your elbows and squeeze your shoulder blades towards each other. And just breathe here. 3. Full breath in for 2. Full breath out. And a subtle lift, crown of the head is reaching forward. Pinky fingers are in towards the hips. Little tented fingers to push down, giving a little more lift. And then release your left cheek down, release your arms, your legs, everything relaxed. The second one, we'll bring the feet back together, thighs together, hands on your tail. Now, if it's hard to reach the other hand, then you'll simply catch a towel or a strap between your hands. Otherwise, interlace 10 fingers and pull your elbows to the ceiling. The knees lift off the floor and your hands pull straight back down your tail. The crown of your head now is reaching forward and your eyes look off the edge of your mat. If there's more space here, you'll lift your hands off your tail. And for your 3 breaths, you can stay here, pressing the toenails into the mat to be rooted in the earth and create freedom in your heart. And I know it can be hard to breathe here, so just do what you can. Little sips and full breaths out. Use the exhale to gain a little more space between the shoulders, across the front of the chest. 1 more. And release your right cheek and release your arms. Give your hips a little wiggle. And now take your hands forward again, like simple cobra. But this time, we're just going to lift up onto our elbows. So it's like we're, kids watching a good movie at Christmas. We'll bring the elbows underneath and kind of set ourselves up. You can have your hands interlaced or your palms flat. But you're pushing down into the earth to lift your chest up and pressing down through your toenails to lift your knees up. Your eyes can look at your thumbs and you're pulling your heart forward, your elbows towards your hips. Stay and breathe. And from here, we'll take the right foot up behind us. Now, part of getting into deeper back bends is to stretch open our quadricep muscle. This can be a hard one to access. Take your left hand across your chest and your right hand out by your side. So it's sort of just out tented into little fingers by your sides. Now you can stay right here if this feels like enough and you're working your hamstring to pull your heel closer. Option 2, as you keep pushing up, try not to collapse here, is to reach your right hand back and hold that foot. And once you've caught the foot, your shoulders square forward. Sometimes we turn and look back, catch the foot, Bring the hip down. You can do that too. Just be mindful that you're coming back to square forward. Then push your foot to your hand. The other option here is if it's a far reach and you've got a strap or a piece of clothing nearby, you can always wrap that foot with the strap and hold it over your shoulder. This is another way to access this space. And this way, you're sort of taking that pressure out of the rotation and simply working the hands to pull down towards the floor. Now at the same rate, I want you to push your knee down towards the floor, so you'll feel a little counteraction, and then relax that pressure. 3 more breaths, whether you're holding a strap or your foot in your hand. Pull the chin back slightly. And then release your foot. Come all the way down to flat. Rest your forehead. Give your hips a little wiggle side to side. Come back up onto your forearms, that little Sphinx position. Right hand across in front. Left knee bends. And again, you can stay right here and just imagine you're pulling that foot in. You can also hook the strap around the foot over your shoulder, or left hand by your side. Subtle rotation. Catch the foot and then spinning forward. Now your foot's coming in, but also pushing back. So you're gaining more back bend with the push of your toes, your foot into your hand. A little more quad stretch as you pull the foot closer. There's always lots of options here. If you've got a strap you're working with, that's a really great option. We might have a tendency here to start to collapse forward. So press down into your forearm, lift your heart, pull your chin in. Couple more breaths. Right leg is still active, right toenails press down. Then release the foot, coming all the way down. Stack the hands, rest your forehead straight. Give your hips a little wiggle. Good. Now, if possible, you're going to, if you've got a strap, you can keep it around both feet, otherwise bending both knees and reaching the hands back. Now, if the feet are really far, you might open the knees to catch the feet more easily, but then walk the knees back together. Don't bring the knees to touch, just bring them hip distance. Now your chin or your forehead can stay on the floor here, and you press your feet into your hands. Take 3 breath cycles. Press feet to hands. Opening up the chest, opening up your front body. You could also be holding the strap, one in each hand, or holding it over your shoulder, just like you did with a single leg. Now lift your knees off the floor so there's more weight tipping forward to your ribs and your pelvis. Last breath here. Take the chin forward and then release it all down. Right cheek on the floor, looking over your left. Give your hips a little wiggle. Okay, we'll do one more here. Bending the knees, reaching back. You caught one foot earlier, maybe widen the knees. You might swing the feet out and then bring them towards each other. When you hold on here, forehead on the floor, chin on the floor, press your feet into your hands. Big activation of your legs. Let your shoulders relax back. Even let your head hang for a moment. Breathe for 3. Lift your toes to the ceiling for 2. And on 1, just a short one, release your left cheek to the floor. Slide your hands under your shoulders. Press up to tabletop. We'll walk the knees underneath the hips. Take a gentle sway side to side. Then tuck your toes and come into downward facing dog. Now that's a lot of back strengthening. We're going to open up a little of the front body here with a single leg quad stretch. So you'll bring your right foot forward, bring your left knee down. This is where a block or a cushion, even a pillow off your couch would help. And you'll slide back, point your back toes, and bring your cushion or your block under your right hip. When we get under that right hip, the left knee points forward, the right toes are to the sky. So this is a single leg heroes version. So we lift the hips, tuck the tail, place it back down. We're getting into the belly of the quadricep muscle. Seems quite simple, and it really is, but it does turn into a bit more of a back bend the further we reach back. Turn your fingers out or forward and bend your elbows further back. You might find access to one and maybe the other. Keep breathing. Send your mind into your left knee point and press down. And as you press down, you might feel it intensify the stretch in the belly of the left leg. It's similar to what we were doing on our back, but giving us a little more freedom to go back when we're ready. So sort of reaching back our heart as we're ready. Now from here, as we come up, we're coming over so that the ears, shoulders, and hips are stacked. So we're nice and upright. You can bring your right foot in closer if you'd like, but otherwise you're coming all the way up into your lunge. Tucking the back toes, lifting up, and we're stepping back for the other side. So if your pillow or your cushion is there, you can slide it to the other side. Step your left foot through, right knee down, right toes point. Walking back. If your hip or your knee is sensitive, you're lifting that block a little higher, or maybe you're stacking a few cushions to give yourself some space. The knee points forward, and your heel is probably just outside of your hip. Right toes to the sky. As you lean back, your hands either are turning out to the sides. If your shoulders are more open, you can point the fingertips forward and gradually slide back. Maybe to one elbow, maybe to another. As you press down, tail tucks underneath to adjust the flesh forward so you have a longer neutral spine. Over time, you might actually find yourself going all the way down to your shoulders in the back of your head, getting a bit more of that back bend available to you. If you're there, feel free to take the arms overhead, catch opposite wrist or opposite elbow. I find for most these days, our hips and our quads are pretty tight, so that's pretty extreme. So just take your time, just giving you places to go. As we gradually come back up, you'll bring your left foot in a little and find that lunge. You'll move that block just to the side within reach and step back into your downward dog. Let's walk the feet all the way up to the top of the mat. And at the top, we're going to come all the way up to standing and hands to heart center. A little standing work for that quadricep is similar to dancers. Step your feet together. You can go weight onto your left foot, pick up your right foot behind you. Now again, if you have that strap, there's lots of ways to easily use your strap. If you have it hooked over the toes, you can just take it over your shoulder like Santa and his sack of goodies. And you can hold it here. Think about squeezing your knee points towards each other and down towards the floor. So you're giving some length to the right side of your waist. So you're either holding the foot or holding the strap. Now, if you've got the foot with your right hand, You can also take the left hand around, and this will also work that chest opening, a bit more back bending. And you'll catch the foot with both hands, maybe interlaced, and squeeze the elbows back. Breathe for 3. Working our balance here as well. Squeeze the knees together, 2. And then release this side. Again, for the other side, if you've got a strap, even a belt would work if you don't have a strap, a true yogi strap. Maybe ask for one for Christmas. And then bring the knees together, pulling the sack over the shoulder. We're reaching back with that left hand, holding the outside of the foot is fine. If you're working more dancer, shoulder opener, you can always catch the inner arch. But really, we're just keeping knees together, breathing tall, with an option now to take your right hand to catch your left foot. So both hands are holding, shoulders and elbows squeeze back. Notice if the head hangs forward, stand tall at center. If your ears come back, the chest comes up, we get more balanced over our center point. Beautiful. We'll release here. Let the strap go to the side. And we'll inhale the arms all the way up. Exhale, bow forward. Lift halfway. Come onto your knees to transition to your seats. You can either cross the ankles and lie onto your back, but bring your block or your bolster or cushion, a pillow with you. So as we lie back, we're going to walk the feet in and touch the heels with the fingertips. Like I said, we're not going to extreme back bends today, but we're working the back body more and more open. So you have space to lift into. This can be very invigorating, very opening for our mind and our body. Lift your hips up where you touch your heels, and then roll onto your right shoulder, tuck your left shoulder under. Roll onto your left shoulder, tuck your right shoulder under. That's really important here that you keep looking at the ceiling, but you can always watch the screen first and then join once you've seen where we're at. This first one with no prop, no block. We have the hands, they might reach each other and interlace. If they do, squeeze the elbows straight and press your pinky fingers towards the floor. Now, if that's really extreme for your shoulders, just leave your hands open. Breathe for 3. Pull your heels towards you rather than push your feet away from you. Notice how your back hamstrings, and your back body lift a little higher. And then gradually releasing upper, middle, and tail very last. Now these next couple, I'm going to walk you through options. So each option you can choose to stay or you can choose to keep going. Option 1, bend at the elbows, holding that imaginary box over your belly. Lift your hips to the sky, back to bridge. Press the skull into the floor so the chin lifts off the chest, but the chest lifts towards the chin. And then grab your cushion or your block. You can place it low and let your hips settle on it. If you've got lots of space, tilt your block a little higher or stack more cushions. And then release there. If you want a nice passive back bend release, this can feel really good on decompressing your low back. So that's option 2. Option 3, even with your hips on that block, bring your fingertips by your shoulders, point your elbows to the sky. Now hug your shoulder blades towards each other as you press into the back of the head just a little and feel your chest lift higher. Now the transition here is to the crown of your head for a moment, really for a breath, for a beat. And then we press all the way into bridge. Now, if you've never done this, I would say just stay here and lift your hips off your block. And that's a good gauge of how much weight you're putting in your feet and your hands. And they should all carry the same amount of weight. Option to go higher if you'd like. Crown to the head. Walk the hands in. Press feet and hands. You can go into a full wheel. If you've never done it, you don't have to do it today. Just know it's accessible over time. Wherever you are, breathe for 3. Let the head go for 2. Unless it's on the floor, then pressing the back of the head down. Look to the ceiling. Wherever you are, release your hips back to the prop that you set up. You might have to adjust it a little bit. Take a pause. Take a breath. These big back bends give our body that electricity feeling. Like, whoa, what was that? It's like plugging a light into a wall, into electricity, and we get a jolt. Then remove your block and release all the way down. Tail touches. Slide your feet away, feet together, knees wide. Left hand on your heart, right hand on your belly. Full breath in. Full breath out. Close your eyes. Feel the energy you've created, you've cultivated through opening up your heart center. My spine moves freely like the sea. My spine moves freely like the sea. And gradually gather your hands outside of your thighs. Bring your knees back together. Maybe walk your feet out. If you're feeling some compression in your lower back, you can stay here. 2 options to finish today. You can stay right here. Shavasana, stretch the legs long. If you've got a nice cushion or block or a bolster even, you can slide that between your shoulder blades and support maybe your head and your heart. So if you are supporting your heart lift, you might do 2 blocks or 1 long bolster. As you lie back, open the wings, spread your wings wide. Big butterfly wings that are soft and delicate. Let the shoulders relax back. Take a smooth breath in through the nose and a sighing breath out. Back bending, heart opening, at times can feel intense, but is connected to our ability to move through life with that freedom in our spine, the access to that watery quality within us. Not be so rigid, but to move with more freedom and flow. Now, as always, you can feel free to stay here as long as you have time for, and I very much welcome you to stay here and I can sign off. Otherwise, you can come to one side and then gradually make your way back to a tall seat if that's calling you. But wherever you are, smooth, deep breath in. Open mouth sigh. As you continue to gradually open up and explore that back body and the access you actually have. You may think back to when we were children and we were so bendy and flexible. Well, it still is ingrained in our imprint in our muscle and neural patterns, but we've lost it from just simple lack of movement. As we gradually open up and bring that back, we start to feel more limber and walk with more freedom. Gather your hands at your heart if you're seated upright. I bow to your light. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me for day 9 of 12 days. I hope you're starting to see some growth and some strength and progression, your body craving these noon o'clock on Pacific Standard Time. I know you're not all on the same time zone, but it's great to have you. Tomorrow is day 10, and we're going to work on side body opening. So getting into this aspect of our movement. So we've been doing front to back, we've been rotating, we're going to add in a little more depth to the sides of our waist. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow for day 10. Thanks, Miriam. Nice to see you. Thanks, Linda. Thanks, Mom, for jumping on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie.